Okay, now we come to Thursday, actually writing the poem, the narrative poem, telling the story. It's free verse, so you can choose how it looks on the page. But rather than write it as a story, I'm going to write it a bit like Michael Rosen's poems, in verses. I can even decide to start a new line in the middle of a sentence. I've chosen a very straightforward title. You could probably choose a better one. Simply the day my brother rode his bike. Oh, actually, it wasn't his bike, was it? It was mine. I'm going to change that. Rode a bike. Okay, what I'm going to do is use some of the ideas. I'm going through all the different things that I mentioned, but I might not include every single idea. I might skip forward a bit in time and use fewer words. I've got a load of words, lots of feelings, just like Joseph Coelho said. You can choose different words and make it all sorts of feelings. Let me start at the beginning. My little brother. So I'm going to start with time. So around 6 years old, because he was about 6 as far as I can remember. Around 6 years old, my brother began, what did he begin to do? He began, I'm going to put this in a little bit, to whine and moan. Oh yes. Around 6 years old, oh, I've paused. After you put a little adverbial of time, you need a comma to say, I'm splitting up 2 ideas in 1 sentence. Around 6 years old, my brother began to whine and moan. What did he say? I'm going to start a new line. And I'm actually going to put this using inverted commas. I want to learn to ride a bike. I want to learn to ride a bike. Now he exclaimed that, so I'm going to put an exclamation mark because he did make a bit of a fuss. What haven't I done? Can you spot? I haven't closed my inverted commas. I want to learn to ride a bike. Well, he kept going on and on. So it was all I ever heard. I think that's a good introduction. I'm going to leave that and I'm going to start a new line, a separate verse. Around 6 years old, my brother began to whine and moan. I want to learn to ride a bike, was all I ever heard. Well, why did I hear it? Well, my parents are busy. I better put that in. Mum and Dad, well, they did not have the time. Did not have time. I could put the time, but I'm shortening it in my poem. How did I feel? Let me look back at my list. I felt sorry for him. Pity doesn't quite fit with this one. Seems a bit too formal and grown up. I was concerned. I like that word. I was concerned. But I was also upset. Ooh, I'm going to use them both. I'm going to use both those words. I felt upset. I'm going to start a new line, even though there's space. I felt upset. I'm going to do a list. I better have a comma. Concerned. And so, it's up to me. It's up to me. I thought to myself, I'm going to add that too, to explain to the reader, it wasn't anyone else telling me, it was me. I thought to myself. I'm going to make this look more like my thought. I'm going to put it in 1 inverted comma. I didn't speak that, but I thought it in my head. Let me read it again. My mum and dad did not have time. I felt upset, concerned, and so it's up to me. I thought to myself. Do I need myself? I might change that later. I might just go, I thought. It's better probably to edit as you go along, because sometimes when you read it back to yourself, you go, ooh, doesn't quite sound right. So I'm going to get rid of myself and end the sentence there. It's up to me, I thought. Okay, now I need to say what actually happened. So, it started. I think I'll write that. And so, we began. I need to tell my reader who we is. And so we began, my brother and I. My brother and I. There. He was really, really keen. He was desperate. Desperate. Desperate to learn. He tried. He tried really hard. I'll just simply put that. He tried. And tried. And tried. That will tell my reader how frustrating it is. It was very, very hard on that tarmac, and despite trying, he really, really hurt himself. I need to tell my reader how harsh it was. A tarmac drive is very hard. I think we all know that. But I want to get across how it was really sore when you fell over on the hardness. A tarmac drive, I'm not going to explain hard. I'm going to cross that out and let my reader infer that it's hard. I'm going to use a word I've used before. A tarmac drive is very unforgiving. And when my reader reads that, they'll know, well, that means it's hard, and when you fall over, it hurts. Okay, let's move on. Because I knew that, I held on tight. I held on tight. Very tight. Do you know what? I'm going to rhyme. It doesn't need to rhyme, but I've just thought of a word. I held on tight. What did my brother do? He tried with all his might. With all his might. Sometimes words remind you of other words and you get rhyme really, really quickly. I held on tight. He tried with all his might. I'm picturing him a bit like a film, wobbling around. So I'm going to tell the reader what I was seeing. He wobbled. Zigzagged. I'm going to hyphenate that word because they're two words, have one meaning. So they're going to be joined. What did he do? He wobbled, he zigzagged, and he crashed. Let's just put a list here. Crashed. And then he was disappointed, disheartened. How was he feeling? I'm going to go back to my list. Do you know what? I'm going to go with my original word, frustrated, even though I've got other words for it. And then, frustrated, got up again. Got up again and tried. You know what's coming next, don't you? And tried. Oh yes, and tried. This could be a pattern in my poem. I could keep going on. Now I've written about 3 short verses. I still haven't mentioned how successful he was, but that's going to take some time. Pause the video and try and write yours in small chunks like this. Talk to yourself, remind yourself. It might be that you get a very long poem and you think, do you know what? I need to shorten it a little bit. And it might be that you take words out. Have a go and see how you get on. Your teachers will really look forward to looking at your work on Purple Marsh when you upload it.